Okay, hi everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. I'm Isa and I'm going to be hosting here Colleen. So thank you so much, Colleen, for coming out here. So before we begin, please make sure to check in. Checking in gives us insights for us to do our jobs better. And for today, as you can see on your tables, we have a giveaway going on. So if you check in and also follow us on Instagram, which the QR on the table is our Instagram account, you will win a free shirt and 8 pound nuggets. So please check in. There's a really high chance that you can win today. So check in and we will announce our winner at the end of the event. So without further ado, we're gonna get started. So please thank Colleen here for coming out. So Colleen Thamm is the CEO at Kognitiv Edge, champions a human-first approach in advancing technological solutions. As an accomplished marketing and technology leader, she has a rich history of driving innovation and growth across diverse industries. As the visionary CEO and co-founder of Kognitiv Edge, Colleen leverages emerging technology to facilitate data-driven decisions in high-stress scenarios. Her ability to shape strategic vision and mission has been evident from the foundation of Kognitiv Edge to her tenure as CMO at Sopinea. Colleen's expertise in leveraging CRM platforms, marketing automation, and fostering cross-functional collaboration sets her apart. Notably, her transformative impact as a marketing program manager at Gartner led to elevated project effectiveness and streamlined processes. So now we're gonna get started. So we're gonna use Menti for a couple questions. So pull out your phones again. Okay, so the first question is, what is the most important skill for fostering innovation? Let's see what the audience has to say. And Colleen, as you look at the responses in the word cloud, are there any that resonate with you? Is there anything that you feel is missing?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here. Kind of when we're looking at this question, I'd like to really go back to the root of the definition of innovation. So innovation is the process of implementing new ideas to create value or to improve existing ideas and processes. So that's a very vague and big definition, but I think when we think of innovation, it kind of gets to thinking of moonshot ventures or all these companies who have culturally shifted our country. So like Meta or like Uber or Airbnb. But I think what's really important here is to think about, all right, sometimes the most simplistic ideas make the greatest impact. For example, in the mid-1800s, there was an individual who was really frustrated about all the deaths that were happening in the hospitals. So he went back to the root, kind of observed what was going on, and he found that, all right, maybe if we wash our hands, doctors and nurses, then we can prevent the spread of disease. This very simple idea led to saving hundreds, thousands, millions of lives. And I think what's important to take away from this is that, very simple, simplistic ideas like washing hands make huge impacts. Another example. So as you may know, this very popular rent-a-car organization, they entered the market with a ton of competition. It was a very saturated market. So when they went into it, they didn't have different cars. They had 14 cars, I think, that they were able to rent at that time. They didn't have anything crazy different. They were going up against Hertz, they were going up against Avis, but what made them different is that they focused on customer service and customer experience, enterprise. So when I'm thinking of innovation, I think creativity was the first thing that popped up, and that's something that we really embody every day of thinking outside the box, taking in all the information of the current state, and how can we incorporate some type of innovation or efficiencies within the current process.
Awesome. So now, like, tell us a time about your time at William and Mary. What experiences do you remember fondly and have shaped your professional career?
Yeah, so that was a while ago, almost 10 years now. So I really enjoyed my time here at William and Mary. I've always been fascinated with marketing, the psychological aspect of it, what really draws people to different marketing material, the creativity, the design behind it. So my time here, we were able to not only learn in the classroom, but also visit different companies to see exactly how they were incorporating their marketing strategy. And so being able to go on site, we did one project for Smithfield, which was really fun. So I got to create like different designs for different packaging, which was really cool and hands-on experience.
Oh wow, that sounds amazing. So now looking kind of back at your experience and also asking the audience, what are your personal markers of success in life? Now, as you look at the responses on the screen, are there any similarities or differences that you see from your current definition of success?
Yeah, so happiness is always good, right? You want to embody that all the time. I think too, one of my personal markers, especially when we started out on this venture, was to make a positive impact for different individuals and people, not only our customers, but the individuals that we took on as employees. And one of the things that I think about daily is it was just me and my husband Tyler who started the company. We can get to that story later. But all right, when we take on more people and more employees, we're in charge of their livelihood. We pay them, make sure that they're paid on time, make sure that they're in an environment where they thrive and are happy. So one of my key markers of success is being able to provide a culture and an organization for people to thrive and be happy and feel like they're really contributing to a bigger mission and really get that fulfillment out of it.
That sounds awesome. How would you say your definition of success has changed over time? Or you say you like really try to make your employees feel like they're part of something bigger? How did you kind of like get to that state?
Yeah, so success in the past when I was working at different organizations is, all right, how do I get promoted the fastest? How do I get recognition for different high level achievements? That was really my main focus. But I think that's really changed, especially when I was in those organizations. I really wasn't in charge of anyone. But when you are responsible for individuals and their livelihood, that really kind of puts a new perspective on what success looks like.
That sounds great. Okay, and now for our final mentee question. Which one of our 8 pillars do you think would help you make the most progress on an endeavor you deeply care about? Okay, so it seems like failing wisely and great are kind of like going head to head here. What do you think about our pillars, or how do you use them in your experience at Kognitiv Edge?
Yeah, so grit is one of our core values, one of our 3 core values. I love that word and we embody it every single day. We're a scrappy, gritty team of 9. All of us are wearing multiple hats and jumping into any type of thing that's needed for the business. I think grit is a very important quality. Failing wisely is an interesting one because I don't like to say that we fail really ever, but maybe things didn't work out the way we wanted to. But being able to kind of spin that in a positive light and take advantage of, all right, this didn't work. How do we get to yes? How do we learn from this experience? And how do we apply this to the next time around?
Okay, amazing. So you kind of answered my next question, which was going to be which one of our pillars has been the hardest to embody or lever, but I think you said really wisely, which I think a lot of people here at William and Mary would agree with you. So now we're going to move a little into your venture story and your personal experience. So let's rewind back to the very beginning. Before your venture took shape, how did the initial opportunity present itself to you? Was there a defining moment or specific insight that sparked your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, so my entrepreneurial journey has definitely not linear. So after undergrad, I played soccer, and that was kind of my entire identity growing up. I was an athlete. So what's next? So I dabbled a little bit in the restaurant industry, ended up going into insurance. Insurance definitely was not the path that I wanted to go down. So I ended up going back to school at William and Mary. I was focused mostly on marketing and ended up getting a job at Gartner down in Florida, Fort Myers area. And during my time there, I was really frustrated with being what I consider a bottom feeder. I joke about, but you know, I didn't want to spend my time every year going up for a promotion, every year trying to prove my worth to an organization that was huge. Gartner is a very wonderful organization, and I love my time there, but it just didn't seem like that was the path for me. So fast forward, left Gartner, ended up having the opportunity to join a small government contracting startup. I was the second employee and the chief marketing officer. They were based out of DC, and that is not an area that I was going to see myself long term. So kind of separated from them, met my husband at the time, and moved down to Camp Lejeune in Wilmington, North Carolina, where he was stationed at the time, and got into bartending. So I was bartending. He retired from the military. He jokes he was slinging roofs, I was slinging drinks. And we saw this opportunity of, during his time in service, that he was the instructor at an organization within the special operations community. And it's like, what do you think of it? I think that's a great idea. Let's do it. You know, we did the whole Tam Tam song, all the MBA things, and realized that it was a great opportunity for us to move forward on. So we decided, we had a really serious conversation. All right, we're not only partners in life, but we're about to be partners in business. What does this look like? This is a huge undertaking. We have the mindset to do it and be successful. And we both said, all right, let's do it. So it's been definitely a journey and a learning experience, but kind of been all over the place, and now back to entrepreneurship.
Oh, wow, that's quite the story. So would you mind telling the audience a little bit about what your company does so they have like an idea?
Sure. So we are creating a software that is used in different high-risk training environments. So it can be used in austere environments, any type of training activity. We developed it specifically for special operations, but it kind of translates into different organizations like professional sports, anything that's really high risk, that is that high risk profession. So we're developing the software now. I'll do a demo a little bit later to go a little bit more in depth on it, but it's really tracking different types of metrics and being able to analyze the data to see exactly, all right, what are the successful markers of success? How do we leverage this individual, their talent within the organization? So it's a little bit of talent management, a little bit of learning management, a little bit of training management systems, all combined into one.
Oh, wow, that's quite innovative. So like within building your whole company, you had a vision and a clear sense of where you wanted to go. What were some pivotal actions or strategies that helped you turn this idea into something tangible? Were there any key decisions or steps that made like the whole difference?
Yeah, I don't know if there's really one moment that like we made it. I don't even know that that's happened yet, but I think it kind of gets back to the grit quality that we had. I mean, I have my MBA background. He's the resident expert in the military, and I think really having those two backgrounds combined into one has made us successful. But I mean, right now I'm coding, which is crazy. I never thought I'd be coding in my entire life, but I think having that grit of, all right, the company needs me here, I'm gonna drop everything over here and go here. I think just diversifying our skill set. Obviously that's not long-term sustainable, but that's for sure, incorporating the grit and seeing opportunities and just working hard.
Wow, that sounds awesome. So you said you were like very into marketing. How did that shift from like full-on marketing to like a tech company look like for you?
Yeah, so I use marketing every single day. I'm in charge of all of our design work and the UI UX. I've been working on that a little bit more recently where the coding comes in. So I think, me and my husband are the face of the company. So we're constantly marketing ourselves and constantly marketing our company. So it never ends.
That's awesome. Okay, so now we are gonna move on to your venture demo. So, perfect. So you can just like, use the clicker here.
All right, so talking about design and marketing, I did this last night. So here we go.
Oh, I think you can click to that too. There we go.
So before we get into the demo, I just wanted to take a little bit of a step back and kind of talk to the why of why we decided to do this. And a lot of it has to do with my husband seeing at the time when he was an instructor, individuals who had the potential and talent to be special operations qualified, but they weren't making the cut. And I think a lot of times the government, not to get too political, but the government invests a lot in innovation, moonshot type of ideas, AI. But I think what's the most important in any organization, and especially the military, is the people in the organization. So our main slogan, or one of them, is technology is used in wars, but people win wars. So our focus is really enhancing those individuals within the military and making sure that they are the best, most qualified versions of themselves. All right, so these are the problem statements. Just a high level overview of the problems that we're trying to challenge or to solve. And I also wanted to share with you all today kind of the evolution of our product, which has been a really fun journey. On the top left, you will see that was the original Figma design that I created when we just started out. So it's a little nostalgic to me, but this was all done within pretty much a year timeline of the progression of our product. And we're still working and we're still improving constantly. But that upper left was what got us our first contract and what we pitched for a very long time. So I went back into Figma and I kind of revamped it after a good amount of time. So you'll see that in the upper hand right. And then in the middle, that's where we are today. This is just a snapshot of the dashboard component of our software, but just wanted to share that with you because I thought it was a pretty cool progression that we've experienced. So this is our product, the hyper-enabled instructor, one of them that we have the majority built out. So you'll see here, this is mainly for instructors who are evaluating these individuals to be special operations qualified or whatever job that they're trying to achieve and be qualified for. So when they log into the dashboard, you saw the dashboard snapshot, but this is really where all the magic happens. So you can see the different courses that they have going on. You can jump into who's there, so the roster, different insights. So that's where your dashboard and Power BI is going to be. Their schedule, so they can see exactly what's going on day to day. And then finally, the requirements. So the requirements section is everything that an individual needs to go through and pass to be special operations qualified. And so here, it's a little bit of a deeper dive into the training calendar. This is a lot more built out now. But you can see exactly what's going on in the day. If you dial into each individual bucket of time, you can see what instructors teaching, what exactly the curriculum is for that specific event, and where they're actually training. The training can go on pretty much anywhere. So I talked about requirements a little bit. These are all the requirements that are needed to pass that specific course to move on within the pipeline. So you can see different evaluations that go on. So the PISCI, for example, that's a Pittsburgh sleep study that they get evaluated on. Grit, our favorite word again. Also, there's different tests like PT tests. There are PT tests, InBody, different types of equipment that they use to test asymmetry within the lens and stuff like that. So this can be easily changed depending on what you're evaluating. So for instance, if we wanted to take a step from the military into the sports world, say if you wanted to use this, excuse me, this tool for recruiting, then you can have like, all right, an NFL player, you want a wide receiver, they need to do a 50-yard sprint in this amount of time. This is what their score is. And you can kind of go from there with whatever requirements you want to swap in and out. And then this is a deeper dive into the PISCI assessment that we talked about, the Pittsburgh sleep study. You can see exactly how Nathan, that's actually one of our employees, how Nathan did on his sleep. He needs to improve it a little bit. And then Leo, our director of engineering, made a comment in there on how to improve his sleep and different recommendations. And then finally, within different pipelines, there are different courses, just like any type of degree that you want to receive from a university. So they have something very similar, different courses within the pipeline that you need to go through to be special operations qualified. So this is basically a snapshot of the individual. We call it the baseball card. So this is all their biographical information. There are different scores that they have done within the assessments, their experience, background, all of that information in one nice spot. As you can imagine, right now, this doesn't seem like a groundbreaking innovation, but it is within the military. A lot of the data and information is either siloed or they're writing it down on pen and paper, so a lot of that data is lost. So with this solution, you'll be able to track everything in one platform.
Oh, wow, that sounds amazing.
Yep.
Perfect. So I just have a quick question for you. So I know a lot of entrepreneurs kind of wear different hats, do a lot of different tasks. How has that kind of looked like in your experience?
Yeah, so I wear a lot of different hats. I am our accountant. I am our CEO, CMO. Like I said, I just started coding a little bit. So we kind of jump in wherever we're needed. And it's been a really rewarding experience to do that. There's, I think some organizations like to put money towards hiring people and outsourcing a lot of the work that they do. But for us, we try to internally do it before looking to outsource it. So that's been a really great strategy of ours to save money. Of course, we're not going to sacrifice quality by doing that. But something that we keep in mind, and everyone just jumps in and rolls up their sleeves and does the work.
Sounds good. Okay, so now we're gonna open up the floor to our audience. So if any of you guys has any questions, Michael will hand you the mic.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. That was awesome. I have one question. You talked about kind of like all the hats that you wear from like accounting to coding. How important is like being able to like pick up some of those skills pretty quickly? Like, how important is that in your day to day?
I think we're very realistic with our strengths and weaknesses. So for me, it's very important, but with the developers, for instance, all we want them doing is developing. That's it. We don't ask them to do any administrative work. This is your main role. This is your main effort. So I think to answer your question, it really depends on the role within our company of how diverse our skill sets need to be to be successful. But I think it is, that kind of grit and the scrappiness, being able to maybe not know it, but be like, I'm gonna figure this out and move on.
So I don't know if you have competitors in that area and if you do competitors analysis and how they are faring in the market compared to your product.
Yes, so we do have a couple of competitors within the space. The great thing is, with my husband being in the military, he's used both of our competitors' products, so that gives us great insight. But I think, the reason that we really started the company was it was kind of like a Blockbuster Netflix situation where Tyler saw that he was very frustrated with the tools that him as an instructor were provided to him. So he went to his current contractor, our competitor now, and gave him all these recommendations on how to improve the product. And they're like, well, we're good doing what we do. So yeah, that we do have a couple competitors in the market, but they're a little behind the times and didn't really embrace innovation. So
can we have a quick round of applause for Colleen? My question is around your early stage customer acquisition strategy, and how did you had that conversation with your husband? It's like, oh, here we go. We're going to take this little bit of leap. We're going to be open to risk. Walk us through that initial customer discovery process, and then perhaps dip into like your retention model.
yeah, so when we first started out, luckily, my husband had contacts in different organizations, so he would pack up the car, at whatever time of the night and drive wherever there was potential opportunity and beta test and really got on the ground level with different organizations. We did a ton of, not per se cold calls, but LinkedIn messaging and networking, leveraging our previous colleagues for different connections. So really we just rolled up our sleeves and got in on the ground level. I mean, when you go to beta test, they're not buying anything. So it was really like, that was our in. All right, you try it, you like it, hopefully you buy it. But we also did a lot of different pitches at conferences, because B2G is very different from B2B and B2C. So it's very challenging. The acquisition process can take at least 18 months. That is lightning speed. We did it within 12 months, which is really cool. But being able to pitch at different conferences, we said we wouldn't buy any tickets to conferences unless we're pitching. So that was a huge thing for us too. In terms of retaining our customers, I think making sure that the customer is happy and can't live without our software, making it extremely sticky. So once they get in and they try it and we're in there collecting data and showing the value, that's our main value prop.
Thank you.
Yeah, so kind of a similar vein about customer strategy. I'm curious as to when you diversified your customer pool, did you start with all these different applications in mind, or did you start with military and then branch out?
Yeah, so we started with military first, with always the end game of sports. And honestly, any organization that needs something like this, any type of evaluations that are done on their employees or athletes or anything like that. The reason that we started with military is because we have the tribal knowledge of the military with Tyler's experience. He's actually done the job. He knows the ins and outs of what's needed in terms of resources for the instructor to be successful. And so that's why we really started with the military and building out our product, getting user feedback, incorporating that until we're at, 90% solution. It's never going to be 100%. You're always iterating, you're always improving. So I think hopefully that answers your question. That's why we started with the military, and then from there, we're gonna branch out.
Thanks again for being here, Colleen. I was fascinated by the part of your story when you transparently shared with us the early Figma prototype. I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about landing a contract with just a Figma prototype. Can you walk us through that a little bit and whether you were confident that that would actually ultimately result in a contract?
Yeah, so that was pretty funny. So I built out this Figma prototype and it works, right? You can click through it. It looks like it's a software product that you can use, but it's not. So that was very tricky because we didn't want to be snakes salesmen. But we wanted to show the opportunity of what we could potentially do. So we ended up getting a pilot study to build this out for a specific customer, and that's kind of, you know, how we got in, but it was very difficult because people were like, all right, how do I buy this? I'm like, well, you can't, it's a big prototype, you know, which not all the time that they got, but I think we're in a really good position now once we got in the door, but it was very challenging.
It's fascinating.
Okay, I have one question. So you said you started this company with your husband. How has that been, like being like husband and wife and then being in the same company together?
Yeah, so I was telling Graham earlier, so we went to Brown University. It was kind of a strategic move. We were starting the company. Tyler's background is solely in military. I had been bartending for 6 months or more and really needed to change my mindset back into corporate and entrepreneurship. So we ended up going to Brown University for our master's in technology leadership. And so while we were there, we got into this B-Lab accelerator, which is kind of similar concept to here, but it's kind of an incubator for Brown University. And we were sitting there and this woman came in and she was talking and she's like, never do business with your spouse. It will fail, you'll divorce, like it'll be awful. And I'm sitting there, everyone's staring at me and laughing. But it has been incredible. It has been challenging, just like working with anyone, right? You're going to face those challenges. It's just at the end of the day, making sure that you all are going in the right direction. You have the right vision that you're going to be doing this together. And it has been challenging, but it's been good actually adding employees and, you know, having that additional support of different perspectives. Because at first, when it was just me and him, it was a little challenging, but I think we got it now. So
That sounds great.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I wanted to ask, like you mentioned that you did marketing. Which marketing skills would you say and the most skills that you use maybe on a daily basis, and which skills did you actually use to attract like more clients for the startup business?
yeah, so on a day-to-day basis, I think one of the biggest things that we embody is just how do we market ourselves as a company? It's constantly evolving. It changes and differs between audience to audience. So being able to get our marketing, our branding right and our messaging right has been really difficult and something that we refine and iterate on all the time. So I think that probably with the messaging and the branding is something that I use on a day-to-day basis. And when I was at William & Mary, I got my MBA with concentration in marketing, and that really set me up for success because Tyler had never done marketing before coming from the military. So I kind of had to champion that, but now he's our LinkedIn guru. So it all evens out in the end.
Any more questions?
Thank you, Colleen, for the presentation. My question was, what do you hope your risk software to analyze in the future? For example, military, air combat or something, or what do you hope to extend to?
Yeah, so right now we're focusing on the US military, but we'd like to expand, you know, into different countries, different allies. But we're also really focused on sports, specifically recruiting. So we would love to get into any type of major league sports organization. And we've actually caught some traction with different railroad entities, which is a really interesting use case for us. But they, just like UPS and delivery drivers, they have to go through a different testing. So can you lift up a 40-pound box? So we've been approached by them, and we're really, people who get it and get the concept see the applicability from people to actually maintenance on cars, airplanes, different use cases like that. Just switch out the people for different, vehicles or whatever. So I think the opportunities are endless, but we'll stay small for now and expand as we do.
Do we have any more questions from the audience? Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, please help me get another round of applause for Colleen for coming out here. We do have a couple reminders. So first of all, we will have our Hub pop-up shop, first one ever, on November 16th. So if you're interested in putting your own product or service out there, please talk to Jonathan or any of our Hub student partners. Their application is available through our recent newsletter and student happenings. So if you have a venture or sell a service or a product, this would be like a great opportunity for you. So we'll have all of you guys just here at the Hub selling your service or product. So this will be amazing. So take a picture if you want, so you can remember. And so yes, and then we have coming up at the Hub next week, we will have our 4th and final rocket pitch of the semester. So please show up to that. It's super fun. Students will have 4 minutes to pitch their ideas. It's going to be very competitive because it's the final spot to go into demo day. So don't miss that. And then we have a topic talk with Isabel Hirama on Friday, November 13th. That's going to be amazing too. Well, all of our events are, but okay. And the 15th, we have our final guest speaker of the semester, Crystal Joseph. So please, if you loved today, which I hope you did, show up to that as well. And if you have any questions about our events, they're always up on our website. So thank you so much for everyone.